I have the distinct pleasure and honor of introducing you to Ms. Jillian Joseph. Ms. Jillian Joseph is Managing Director and Associate General Counsel of Nuveen, the asset management arm of TIAA. She is a member of the Board of Directors of Carver Federal Savings Bank, a federally chartered stock-saving bank founded in 1948. So, at this moment, I welcome Ms. Jillian Joseph.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here on your 50th anniversary as you begin to celebrate, and so close to International Women's Day, a global day celebrating the social, cultural, political, and most importantly, the economic achievements of women. But I do want to spend some time to do two things very quickly. One, I want to celebrate the 50 years of Medgar Evers with you. I want to remind you, as the dean said, why Medgar Evers is here, how you got here, how its history will forever shape Brooklyn and the community. I also want to look at the current makeup of Black families today and discuss what we all must do together to strengthen the earning power and wealth creation of Black women if we expect to strengthen the Black financial fortitude of our communities as a whole. We want to spend some time understanding how the roles of women are crucial to building wealth in our community and what we must do to support them. Hopefully, my brief story can illustrate how African American women must begin the process of garnering wealth so we all can build. So I'm about a decade younger than the founding of Medgar Evers College. So being a lifelong Brooklyn resident, I don't remember life without the school here in Black Brooklyn. Right across from Ebbets Field Apartments, named for the long-gone baseball field where the Brooklyn Dodgers played and Jackie Robinson had broken the color barrier. The college's name always rolled off my tongue. I've attended many lectures here, performances, and I've had the opportunity to meet here quite often because I'm in quite a few Black girl social groups who tend to meet here at Medgar Evers. But honestly, rarely have I thought about the fact that here in the City University of New York, a college is named after the martyred civil rights leader who died at a tender age of 37. He was gunned down 10 feet from his home by a white supremacist. And here in Brooklyn, a college is named after this controversial, yet instrumental, radical, and transformational leader, unlike the many other buildings across New York City named after white captains of industry and often slaveholders. It's the history of Medgar Evers, the college, why it's so illuminating to me, and why this is a special place as it's synonymous for justice and equality. I had the opportunity to read the book, Medgar Evers, The Pursuit of a Community's Dream, and they remind us that the story of Medgar Evers is an awesome story that deserves to be told and heard. It's an inspirational story that offers many lessons about the quest for equal rights and justice. In the story, the community's vision, through tireless effort, years of struggle, intense perseverance and commitment, extensive political understanding, and enormous passion brought forth a Black community, a 4-year college, unlike CUNY's initial proposed 2-year institution, to provide access, social justice, and excellence. While we have come to know and love the black and bright gold book logo of Medgar Evers, it is this original crest depicting the scales of justice, the lamp of education, and a pair of hands struggling against shackles that ring so true to our struggle. It is important for me to root the discussion on women and empowerment here at Medgar Evers because your student population is 80% female. More importantly, there are 125% more female students than males, and 80% of them will be Black women. We are well aware that when female citizens are better educated, they have a greater chance of becoming gainfully employed, which raises the income of their entire household. The community was fighting not only to bring education to Black Brooklyn, but to Black women. The sweat, tears that we've shed here to bring Medgar Evers will be the growth of Black female empowerment. While the college has asked me to provide some insight into the concept why Black women are key to economic empowerment, it's something we already know instinctively in our hearts. In our guts, in our everyday experience, it is always Black girl magic. Black girl superpower, the Black girl woman carrying her family and the community on her shoulders is so interwoven in our everyday experience. Every day I go to share a photo or a document with a friend or a colleague, and I open my iPhone and I go to share an airdrop, it always elicits a chuckle because my phone is named Jillian Superwoman iPhone Baby. Black women continue to do the impossible, super heroic, death-defying acts each and every day. So yes, I can call my phone Jillian Superwoman because I am a superwoman, like the many Black women in this room, around me, who came before me, and who will come after me. Black women are not only responsible for rearing and caring for our children and community, but its financial success as well. The Center for American Progress completed a study in 2017 that looked at families and earnings. 64% of women are going to be the primary, sole, or co-breadwinners of their families. That means 64% of women are either the single earning breadwinner as a single parent or the primary breadwinner, meaning even with a married partner, they earn equal or more than that partner. The statistics are more important when we look at Black women. Black mothers are just more likely to be breadwinners than white mothers. 84% of Black mothers were the primary, sole, or co-breadwinners in their families. They are more than twice as likely as white mothers to be their family's breadwinners, both because of a higher percentage Black women who will be single mothers. But even when part of a married couple, Black women are more likely to earn more than their husbands. Which means that most Black households, no matter if they're single-parent households or married households, Black women will often be the breadwinner. If Black women make up the majority of its family's income and net worth, it is crucial to Black communities. It is actually our very own economic survival as a community will depend on the earning power of Black women. However, Black women are the lowest paid group often in America. So let's think about what that means. Our families and our communities and its survival is dependent on Black women, as she is often the breadwinner of the family, yet she is often paid the least. Without change, Black communities will continue to suffer. Not only are Black women the lowest paid, they will be responsible for answering to the family's needs that sacrifice their earning power and potential. When a new child is welcomed into a family, when a child has to stay home sick, when an aging parent suffers from a fall, it's going to be the Black woman who must stay home at the expense of her job. In today's economy, mothers have to be the center of the plan to truly enhance Black economic security. Every decision they make on pay equity, the gender parity, the wage gap, drastically and disproportionately affects Black families because the person most responsible for Black families' economic security and future will be disregarded and degraded when it comes to her value as a U.S. employee. She will be offered the least, given the least hours to work, be paid the least, and in the end, bring home the least. We must fight for pay equity and parity like our very lives depend on it, because it actually does. It affects Black women from the most junior of positions to the most senior executives. Every dollar stolen from a Black woman is stolen from her immediate family, her security, her extended family, and it precludes her from buying a home, building wealth, and closing the gap. As Black women, we must continue to participate in the gender parity movement and ensure that conversations continue to explore the cross-section of gender and race when discussing pay inequity. Too often, the unique situation of being a Black woman is ignored. I wanted to tell you a quick story about my sister that makes this point so real for me. My sister is probably the most accomplished, intelligent, successful, hardworking sister I've ever met. My 2-year-old daughter would say she's a bad mamma jamma. 4 years her senior, however, I've grown used to the dynamic of being the big sister and giving her money all the time. If it was us standing in an ice cream line or our favorite clothing store, I was always responsible as a big sister to help her out. She was always 10 cents short on getting a bag of chips, or she spent her money on the Coco Cherry guy outside, so didn't have enough for lunch, but I was always there to give her a hand. The interesting dynamic, though, it followed us to adulthood. I woke up in my late 30s and thought, why is she still on my phone plan? I joke when I tell you this story because my sister is an accomplished Ivy League educated professional with a 5-year professional degree in architecture from the prestigious Ivy League institution Cornell University. She went on to be an honors graduate from the world-renowned Sloan School of Business at the incomparable Massachusetts Institute of Technology, better known as MIT. With all her accolades, accomplishments, and hard work, I sat up late one night wondering, why in the world was I paying for her cable, phone, and summer vacations? A successful real estate executive at one of America's most iconic brands, my sister almost instinctively and unknowingly to us all was relying on my wealth to get by. I'd never asked the question before, but was forced to one night on a late night sisterly call. And I said, how much money do you make? She was a bit taken back by the question, unsure how to answer to her big sister, who was asking something so personal. But to say I was flabbergasted by her answer would be an understatement. My successful, beautiful, smart, Ivy League educated sister was being grossly underpaid. My mother was a long-time early childhood educator and administrator. My father, a school bus driver. They were hard-working parents who instilled education was important to us, but never able to afford the 6 figures in tuition we had racked up at these prestigious institutions. My sister was drowning in student loan debt. After hearing her salary and thinking of her living expenses and her sky-high student loans, I was unsure how she was even making ends meet. I knew based on her experience, her educational background, and her expertise, she should be making significantly more money. She had suffered what so many Black women suffer each and every day, and her wisdom and pedigree did not protect her. She was being paid less than her white counterparts with less experience and weaker credentials. I was angry, and I'm telling you, we should all be angry. I gave her an ultimatum that night. You've got 1 week to go into your boss's office and demand a raise. A significant one based on everything you have done for that company, or else I'm never speaking to you again. When you're the big sister, you can make ultimatums like that. She was scared, but she did it. And the story ends with them giving her $45,000 raise in 48 hours. While we had a victory, my sister had already spent 3 years at this company being underpaid. 3 years of lost income, hundreds of thousands of dollars she could have used to purchase a home while she was still renting. A purchased home would have meant appreciation year over year. That was lost dollars and unrealized equity. When you are single with no children, Uncle Sam is the largest depriver of your funds. Had she had a home and paying interest and not rent, she would have been taking that deduction and paying less in taxes. The disrespect for my sister's expertise and utter excellence costed her hundreds of thousands of dollars, now and in the future. And it deprived not only she of building wealth, but me as well, because I was closing the gap. We all pay for discrimination against Black women. So what I've learned and what I'm sharing with each and every woman with you here today, especially Black women, you better ask. I'm asking you to ask again, ask often, and then after that, ask one more time. Just louder than the last time you asked. Because America will give you nothing without a fight. The old adage your mother and grandmother taught you, we work twice as hard and you will be rewarded, unfortunately, is almost as true as Santa Claus. Like Santa, it was a helpful adage to keep you on the straight and narrow. But in the end, a fairy tale nonetheless. My sister had done it. She had worked harder than any man in her class. She had outworked, outperformed everyone, and yet they offered her less than what she deserved. You remember nothing from today. Remember that you will be given nothing, and closed mouths never get fed. Men, I want you to remember, we need you as allies. We need your voice, we need your truth, we need your anger when it comes to discussing gender parity. I remember my girlfriend calling me from the parking lot of her Fortune 100 company. She was out of breath, whispering and exasperated. Apparently, a young black man in human resources, fed up with things the way they were, had decided he was gonna drop some jewels on the black women in the legal department. What he gave them literally knocked the wind out of their sails. He had slipped them a list of all the salaries arranged in order for all the attorneys in the legal department. Every black woman was at the bottom. Despite being lawyers longer, coming from better firms, and having the most pristine pedigree. I kept remember her saying over and over again, why do they keep doing this to us? The answer is a lot more complicated, and we would need a lot more time to dissect why they keep doing that to us. But let us be very clear. It is being done to us. It is not a mistake or solely the lack of self-advocacy on behalf of black women. It starts with companies believing wholeheartedly before you step foot in the interview room that black women can be bought on the cheap. While we have provided economic opportunity, we have taken away black women's earning power and potential to give to their families and communities because we have blatantly decided as a country that black women just don't deserve more. So men, again, I'm asking you to be allies, to be our partners, to be our peers, and fight to close the gap that widens every day. And every hiring decision you make and are included on, question if this woman would be offered this salary as a starting point if she were not a black woman. If you set the stage and advocate on our behalf, provide us the opportunity and the knowledge to understand the playing field where we are being wrong, I promise you, we will stand up and ask for our fair share. Last story I want to give on this is an example from my own life. I didn't start out knowing how to ask. My advice to my sister and my girlfriend in the parking lot was solely learned from my own experiences in my career. After graduating top of my class from an Ivy League law school, I worked at arguably the #1 law firm in the country. I spent 5 years working on what would finally be known as Barclays Center, and I had done it. As a real estate lawyer, I had negotiated with the MTA, the LIRR, the New Jersey Nets, the NBA, the City of New York, Barclays Bank, community groups, and other corporations to build a world-class stadium in Brooklyn. I decided after that big win it was time to leave law firm life for greener pastures in corporate America. I knew corporate America paid a bit less than law firms, but provided for more flexibility at home, as I had a husband and a child I wanted to spend more time with. When I was given the offer at General Electric, however, they offered me a package I was not expecting. It was more than I was making at the law firm. So I signed on the dotted line immediately, never asking for more, wondering if there was more, and just never negotiated. 3 years into the job, I realized that this was not quite the lifestyle change I had expected. I was working harder than I ever had, and now I was traveling. My son was getting older, I needed full-time care at home, and we needed a bigger place. Suddenly, the money I had not negotiated and honestly had not thought about became all I could think about. I needed to make more. I needed to help my parents, and remember, I was still paying my sister's cell phone bill. So now the looming anvil over my head of private school tuition and a larger place, which was now in what was hot and happening, super expensive New Brooklyn, I, like many other women, convinced myself I would just keep working hard. And at the end of the year, they would recognize my tenacity, my drive, my hard work, my excellence, and I would be rewarded. I had not learned yet that America gives you nothing. But one day on a business trip, all our flights were canceled, and I was trapped in the airport with my boss, Kevin. I decided at the moment this was my chance. I turned to him and I said, Kevin, I've done everything you've asked. I've worked harder than anyone here, but being here in New York, because GE was in Connecticut, it feels like someone is sitting on my chest each and every day, keeping me from taking a deep breath. This was March, almost a year before evaluations, so a lot earlier than I had prepared to have the discussion, but I had done it. I saw the opening as we sat and ate Wendy's at the gate. I opened my mouth and I asked. That March, I was promoted and given a substantial raise. I was thrilled. But what makes this story so poignant was that I would never make it to the end of the year. That summer, GE announced it would be selling its real estate business, and the people would not be going with it. While I was devastated that I would lose the job I loved, my severance package was going to be based off my new salary. My bonus would be based off my new salary. I made six figures in weeks because I did not wait for them to reward me at the end of the year. I used my new juiced-up severance and larger bonus to pay off law school loans, open college accounts for my son, buy my second home. That one moment in the airport where I opened my mouth changed my life. It not only changed my life, but it changed generations to come. I put my children on track to receive a college education with no loans, which allows them to dream, make mistakes, and hopefully become the next Steve Jobs, and have the freedom without the burden to follow their passions. I used that larger GE income as my floor when I started to look for new jobs. I turned TIAA down twice because they could not offer me more than my GE salary. I knew what I was worth, and they too knew what I was worth. My increased salary also allowed me to actively give to organizations that changed the trajectory of Black communities. Women are more philanthropic than men. The more a woman earns, the more she gives back to her society. This is huge in Black organizations and communities because we are starving for resources. Every free dance program, summer basketball league, or after-school program is begging for the charity and philanthropy from our communities. If women are more giving, they need to be financially secure to give. Black philanthropy makes an enormous difference in the lives of people and our nation. Our generosity runs the gamut, from tithing to our churches, sororities, fraternities, civic clubs, to major contributions to college alma maters, memorials, and museums. Black philanthropy provides the indispensable financial foundation that guarantees the survival of our nonprofit institutions. But how do we do so if every woman we're depending on makes $45,000 less than the man doing her identical job? We also know that the empowerment of women, the access to education and fair wages, allows us to access other important opportunities like entrepreneurship. The face of female entrepreneurship is becoming more and more Black. Minority women are starting up businesses at a much faster rate than their white counterparts. While the number of white women-owned businesses grew 40% from 1997 to 2016, those owned by Black women grew 518%. Access to education and then income parity provides cash and the know-how for Black women to increase their income and wealth in their families through entrepreneurship. Come on, as Black women, we've always had a side hustle. Your mother worked as a nurse, but she baked pies during the holiday. Your grandmother was a teacher, but after school she babysat. Your homegirls wanted the fiercest accountants in her practice, but she could whip you up an outfit for any day at the club. So Black women, in addition to educational attainment, asking for what you deserve, and men being supportive and allies in this quest, we must all work together to help Black women turn their side hustles into full-fledged businesses. Black women need access to capital to turn side hustles to businesses that provide Black wealth in our communities. We need access to loans, lines of credit, and cash to support our dreams. If men continue to control the access to capital and restrict Black women from that capital, Black communities will continue to be impoverished. A recent report from the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas reveals that 40% of Black women who request financing will never receive a penny. This is why institutions like Carver Federal Savings Bank are crucial to the Black community and our generational wealth building. Carver's commitment to financial success of the Black community is evidenced by the fact that 80 cents of every one of our dollars Carver deposits in neighborhoods it serves. Carver will be the bank that understands, as a woman, your side hustle, your community organization's need for capital. Carver is at the forefront for financial services to faith-based institutions, nonprofits, and foundations in Black communities. Every single person in this room who is committed to wealth building of Black women and ultimately the Black community should and needs to have a Carver bank account. I may not get all of your money, but I want some. That college fund account you are slowly building could be the capital Carver uses to support the next Black-owned spa or bed and breakfast in Crown Heights. Your mama taught me always to have a secret bank account just in case he loses his mind and doesn't act right bank account. I want that too. That could be the loan we make to a sister who's been turned down from every mainstream bank, who cannot understand why Black-owned beauty supply in Brooklyn is a great idea. My dear fellow superwomen, I need you to continue to capitalize on your side hustle. I need you to continue to ask for more money at work so you can put more money into your natural lipstick line or your vegan cookies. Your family, your community is depending on your success. Lastly, I need us to be committed to passing the wealth and knowledge to our generations. As Black women rise, follow through with their education, ask and receive more, invest in themselves and opportunities, access capital, we must show our children and teach them and provide opportunities for them. I am unsure why it has taken so long to connect the dots, that our overall success will be intrinsically linked to the financial success of Black women. Black girl magic is and will continue to be the fuel for Black prosperity. Black girl superheroes will continue to carry the weight of both family and fiscal and financial fortitude for the Black community. So let's make a promise to her to access education, provide access to information, to provide her allies who will give her the foundation to make her ask. Let's ensure she is valued and paid her fair share so she can donate and contribute to the causes that affect the Black community the most. Let's provide her capital to turn her great idea into an additional revenue stream to provide more money in her household. And most of all, let's provide her all of our support because our success as a community depends on it. Thank you.
Is it on?